I've carried spare napkins if you need any.
Lunch, we just didn't bring one.
Let's do this.
The worst I've ever lost in a game was against Cecily, Jeff, and someone else at ML. And an MO.
Oh, he did come up to one.
Us with that now.
I don't remember. Oh, that might have been John.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you remember?
Oh, yeah, 2012 MO, the last
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
You guys won that tournament, didn't you?
What number is he in?
13.
I don't remember that
Who
one.
else was there?
And you guys are
11.
You were there? I didn't write that.
Were you there?
Was there?
I think so.
That is true. I would have won had I played.
If you read for us, we had something like 6 and 8.
So it's disappointing.
I don't think you knew if you were sorry.
I was happy.
very good.
Who's
Okay.
So
This
we
packet is brought to you by Karsten Guerin, James Lasker, Tejas Radhe, and Doug Yap.
It's a good thing Carson told me all the answers to all the questions.
Maybe test our buzzers?
Sure, why
The
not?
other one back. To be clear, Carson.
I thought we would have significant advantages because of that having happened.
Okay, both teams ready?
Yes,
We're gonna get this underway. Toss up one. A commercially important mechanism for this procedure uses 10-deacetylbaccatin-3, an intermediate in the natural form of this process. The most recent of these procedures to be published uses the monoterpene geraniol. Nearly all mechanisms for this procedure involve the addition of a tail via the ohemalactin. The conversion method of this procedure begins with the Vueland and Meischer ketone as the C ring and then adds the D and AB rings separately. That method was discovered by Danishevsky 5 over here.
Synthesis of Taxol.
That is correct, I guess. Yeah, I guess I have to prompt you.
The total synthesis.
That is correct.
Totally.
Randy else is
10 points are yours.
True.
This surprise attack led by Michiel de Ruyter ended the Second Anglo-Dutch War and was one of the greatest humiliations in British naval history for Amplitude. Name is the battle in which the Dutch sailed up the Thames and captured the Unity and the Royal Charles.
What is that called?
Yeah.
Is it,
We got
I don't remember.
it's the Battle of the Medway. The Dutch were led by this grand pensionary whose brother Cornelis accompanied the fleet at Medway.
The Admiral? This is not the thing I'm doing now. Is it no go?
Is there a hard cutoff and I should start?
Yeah, like if they're not here within like the next 2 minutes.
We don't know this
Next
one.
2 minutes?
We're not gonna answer.
It's weird. It's Johann de Witt. Both the de Witt brothers were murdered by supporters of this man who took over the government and later became king of England.
Sure.
That is correct.
And you're the smaller version of that.
So I'm still missing a T, and how long do I wait?
2 more minutes.
Okay.
About 2
Sorry, what did they get? 10?
10.
20?
They got 10 points.
Okay,
on
30.
that. Toss up. Okay.
40.
Toss up 2. At one point in the story, a bet is made at Reif Snyder's barbershop regarding the identity of a man walking by wearing lavender trousers. It concludes on a Wednesday evening with the doctor realizing that his wife Gracie's breakdown is precipitated by the ostracism his choices have visited upon their household. Earlier in this story, Alec Williams argues with Judge Hagenthorpe that $5 a week is not worth the stress of boarding the title figure whose stroll through the community nearly causes a riot and prompts Jake Winter to threaten to have Ned Trescott arrested. Set in the fictional town.
Monster?
That's right, 15.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Your bonus. Balthasar Newman built a basilica in Bad Staffelstein named for this group, and the shepherd Hermann Licht claimed that they came up to him in the form of children in the 1440s, for 10 points each. Name this group that was once invoked for help with a wide range of bodily ailments, especially in Bavaria.
Okay, go ahead.
Something like 14 Holy Hall.
That's right. A century before Hermann Licht's visions, the 14 Holy Helpers became a prominent group for Christians to call on during this devastating event that decimated 14th century Europe.
Blackout.
Yeah. This holy helper was invoked against epilepsy, and he was also fittingly a patron saint of dancers, although a dance sometimes in Korean was actually Tetraphoria.
St. Vitus.
That is 30 points. Toss up 3. An early version of these devices replaced two capacitors in the Abraham block multivibrator with resistors in what's called the Eccles-Jordan circuit. Though they aren't capacitors, one of these devices built from cross-coupled NAND gates can be used to debalance a circuit. A common physics lab uses the end of these devices in a ripple counter arrangement and LEDs to visually count to count to 2 to the n on a given clock signal, a technique that can be used to create frequency dividers. It is impossible to solve these systems completely first principles for a given input without knowing the initial state of one of their two outputs, since they are a bistable system. In integrated circuits, the input to these devices are typically passed through a Schmidt trigger.
Oh shit, I'm gonna say it's an op amp.
That's wrong. The D-type can be used to store a bit of memory, while the JK-type explicitly refers to the inputs which cause their namesake toggling functions. For 10 points, name these computer circuit elements whose SR types are composed of two NOR gates, which you can't actually wear on your feet.
Flip-flop.
Where would be?
I don't know where that, we have to get rid of that stupid giveaway, but.
Sorry, an op amp, they had a Schmidt trigger, not like Catherine. I just didn't parse that correctly. That's what it was.
Okay, so who answered that?
I know about flip-flops, dude.
No,
But they didn't mention
things you wear on your feet.
Yeah.
Here's your bonus. This novel climaxes with the protagonist's confrontation with the gang leader, Hermogenes, for 10 points each. In this complex, there was a novel narrated by Rivaldo, who describes his travel in the title location and his attraction to his fellow Yakunso Diadrin.
Okay, fine.
Devil Pain Backlash.
Yes. Drug Moraes Rosas at the Devil Debate in the Backlands. In this country's Sertao region, its major authors include Chavez ACs and Jorge Amato.
Brazil.
Two brothers with this last name spearheaded modernism in Brazil by organizing the Week of Modern Art in 1922. One of them, Oswald, wrote the Cannibal Manifesto, while the other, Mario, wrote the novel Macunaíma.
That's
I'm
right.
dry. Yeah.
Toss up next. An image in this work of benches and couches strewn with gold, which elicits a reply about a shield laid over whatever. Okay, this is a bad sentence, but anyway, it elicits a reply about a shield laid over a container of bright mead. One person in this work refuses to speak about a group of maidens who cry and toss sails into the sky. One person in this work calls another the mother of three rhyme trolls and denies it.
The locus center.
That is not correct. And denies that she is wise after repeatedly telling her to not be silent until he knows all. One character in this work disguises himself as Vegtan, son of Baltan, and is told that the son of Vrind will grow to adulthood in one day. This work ends by one speaker proclaiming that she shouldn't be visited again until Loki's return.
Oldest
No, that is incorrect.
One.
Okay. Okay, I will finish reading the question and you can decide. I'm just going to finish reading it anyway.
Okay.
This work ends by one speaker proclaiming that she shouldn't do this again until Loki is speaking on his bonds. At the beginning of this work, Odin goes to the eastern door and resurrects the Volva, who tells him that Hodor will kill his son. Temperance in the second is
Oh no.
titled after the fearful visions of one of the Aesir.
Why would you do that?
This is the dream
All
of
those
Balder.
dreams.
Okay.
Jesus.
I did not raise the question.
Why would you do that?
Yes.
Okay,
Sure, we'll know.
Yeah.
Okay, purchase noted.
All right.
Toss of 5. In a story written in this language, after a character turns into a colorful bull, he is slaughtered and 2 drops of blood fall to the ground, where they turn into 2 Persea trees. One of the title characters of a story in this language places his heart on a tree, but dies after this.
Egyptian.
That's 15.
Or Egyptian. Languages.
Oh. 8. Okay. You have a number.
What's up, dude?
Hey, so I'm still waiting for 2 people. Should I just start? Or
Start. Yeah, you
Yeah.
should start at this point.
Let's start doing it.
Here.
All right, sorry, 15 on that? Or-
That was 15.
Okay, good, thanks.
Well deserved 15.
Well buzzed.
This cinematographer created the shot of Tim Robbins raising his arms in the rain after escaping from prison for in The Shawshank Redemption. For teaching, and he's British cinematographer for many films of the Coen brothers, including Barton Fink, No Country for Old Men, and The Big Lebowski.
Where is their music? Collins is an old guy. Who's the person? Roger Deakins?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Good.
Deakins was also the cinematographer of this Coen brothers movie, which centers on the disastrous kidnapping scheme set in motion by Jerry Lundegaard, who's played by William H.
Yeah,
Macy.
it's Fargo.
In Fargo, Marge Gunderson returns to Jerry's car dealership after having dinner with his former classmate who lies on the job.
Mike.
At
Yeah,
Honeywell.
some Japanese last
Yes.
name, whatever. Yeah, Mike.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Mike Yamamita.
Or- Yeah.
That is 30 points.
Okay, well done. I did collaborative effort, the rest. You know what's going on.
Okay, next toss-up. This man named Thomas Bourchier, Archbishop of Canterbury, imprisoned the Duke of Exeter in Pontefract Castle in an attempt to end the dissatisfaction in the north. On one occasion, this man put his hands on a throne and expected his supporters to cheer and support, but received only silence. This man's petitions for reimbursement of costs incurred on campaign were ignored in favor of the Duke of Somerset, leading to his rivalry with the Beaufort family. This man and his son Edmund, Earl of Rutland, were killed outside Sandal Castle at the Battle of Wakefield, and his head was displayed on a pike with a paper crown on it. Shortly after his death, his son saw a symbol of 3 sons and won the Battle of Mortimer's Cross, overthrowing Henry VI. Pimpoint's name is one-time Lord Protector of England, a leader during the Wars of the Roses.
Did he, the Duke of York?
Yeah, I prompt you actually.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, I thought you just called that. Thomas.
No.
Oh.
A leader during the Wars of the Roses, and Father Edward IV and Richard III.
Richard, Duke of York.
That's right.
Okay, I protest this. Yeah,
Okay, I mean, it says you need both, because they're
Yeah.
links of your.
just in case.
Okay,
Sure.
I will mark it. Your bonus. Donovan Home was inspired to write the book Moby Duck by a situation involving these toys, which have been used by oceanographer Curtis Ebbesmeyer in analyzing ocean currents. Each. These bath toys made by the First Years Inc. that became global news of more than 28,000 ducks, beavers, turtles, and frogs were washed into the ocean during transport.
What?
They're like toys.
There's tons of rubber ducks, but
What do you got?
rubber ducks.
They're called friendly floaties.
Okay.
Friendly floaties have raised awareness of this massive collection of plastic debris that has accumulated in the gyre.
Garbage patch.
That's right. The Ocean Voyages Institute started this project that hopes studying the Great Pacific Garbage Patch will lead to ways to clean it up. This project led the Seaplex expedition to the garbage patch in 2009.
Global
We don't know.
All right, it's called Project Kaisei.
Those
Points.
floaties are not as friendly as they could be.
Toss 7. Dora Panofsky argued that this character's pose in one painting where he's framed by a doorway is derived from that of Christ in Rembrandt's 1665 Ecce Homo in an article subtitled for iconographic notes on the artist of this character. Another painting of this character was allegedly sold to Vivant Denon by a Parisian junk dealer with a label hanging on it reading, "Buy me, I'm so lonely," and may have been painted as a sign for a cafe belonging to a former actor named Bologna. The Thyssen holds a Fête Gallant painting of this character content and wearing the same clothes as in the later.
Yes, Pierrot.
That's nice.
Yeah, it just sounded like that all the time.
Thank you. Your bonus. Answer the following about mutations gone wild with RTH. This process, which was first observed in cancer cells, is characterized by up to 1,000 rearrangements within a small area of 1 or 2 chromosomes, increasing the DNA copy number in an oscillatory fashion. What you got?
Hypermutation.
It's called chromothripsis. After these cells encounter an antigen, their receptor undergo somatic hypermutation to enhance their binding ability. These immune cells produce antibodies and mature in the bone marrow.
B cell.
This procedure identifies immunogenic components by determining their effect on a strain of S. typhimurium that is unable to synthesize histidine.
I think so. Yeah.
Ames test.
All is tumor antibodies. Okay? Possibly. Efron and Petrosyan used a non-parametric method for constructing V's from doubly truncated data, while Lynden-Bell used the C- method for singly truncated data. Sandage, Tamman, and Yehill devised a parametric maximum likelihood method for estimating these functions. A widely used function of this type can be integrated with respect to its primary variable to give an incomplete gamma function. One method of correcting these functions for incompleteness involves determining the maximum distance at which each data point could have been observed, and then dividing by the co-moving volume corresponding to that distance. That is called the Vmax method. The parameters of the aforementioned most important of these functions are alpha, which denotes the fate and slope, and one which denotes the position of the knee of that function. Pinpoints name these functions exemplified by the Schechter function that traces the number and density of galaxies with respect to their brightness.
The luminosity function.
Prompt.
The luminosity power law?
I guess at this point I can take it because I already said galaxy. So,
Oh, okay.
it's the galactic.
Sure.
Sure, I tell you. Always. This is why I play with stuff.
Seemed like a great idea.
I figure out what was going on.
I really will
Yeah,
answer this.
whatever.
Here's your bonus. This man was twice responsible for discovering and
discovered something.
I made a mistake in mine. Anyway, this man was twice responsible for discovering and relaying information that saved George Washington from being captured by the British. Remember, each. And this man, who was served by the slave Cato, and whose job as a tailor for high-ranking Brits in New York, made him a valuable source of information for the Patriot cause.
Could be Culper, maybe? He's a Culper.
It's Hercules Mulligan. Hercules Mulligan was not directly a member of this group managed by Benjamin Talmadge, but both Mulligan and this spy group were used by Washington during the occupation of New York City.
Culper Ray.
Yes. Mulligan had been involved with the Patriot cause well before the Revolutionary War began, having joined this secret society a decade before. Rhode Island members of this group attacked and set fire to the Gaspé.
Yep.
20 points. Okay. Toss of 9. This philosopher argued that just because moral dilemmas exist does not mean that there also exists some inconsistency in a set of moral principles in a paper titled Moral Dilemmas and Consistency. In one paper, this philosopher proposed the use of substitutional semantics to accomplish the paper's titled goal, dispensing with possibilia. A formula developed by this thinker allows for the interchange of quantifiers and modal operators, resulting in statements like, if it is possible that there exists an object satisfying P, then there exists an object that possibly satisfies P. In the article titled Modality in Intentional Languages, this philosopher proposed that names have no meanings, but are simply tags. This philosopher's early work included a paper titled A Functional Calculus of First Order Based on Strict Implication, which began her project of quantifying modal logic. 10 points identified as
Marcus?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Ruth Marcus.
One purportedly plagiarized. Well, that's why I said purportedly.
Inspired by.
Be careful what you purport.
Here is your bonus. W.W. Skeat completed this process by employing Bradshaw's shift, which differentiated Skeat's work from that of Thomas Turwood for 10 points each. In this process, it involves classifying the 10 fragments present in such manuscripts, such as the in-grouped manuscript, and then placing them into families.
Yeah, putting together a text of Pierce Plowman.
That is incorrect. It's ordering the Canterbury Tales. In all editions and manuscripts of the Canterbury Tales, this section always comes first. This section begins
General
with that.
prologue. General prologue.
Yeah.
It's a good place to put it.
Beginning, you say. In the late 15th century, this man printed several editions of the Canterbury Tales after setting up the first printing press in England, which contributed heavily to the standardization of written English.
Text.
That was good.
Could have figured out that. I was always gonna say that.
Yeah. Me too.
Toss of 10. George Malonas argued against a syncretic interpretation of the events at this site, in contrast to the work of Carol and Caretti, who emphasized the pristine richness and many-sidedness and embellishing activity of the mind in a collection edited with Jung that links the myth of the divine child with this location. According to one source, those who were not of pure hands or speak an incomprehensible tongue, as well as murderers and barbarians, were forbidden to approach this site, although purity of heart is stringent and mentioned. The announcement of the birth of Brimo the Brimos was a central event at this location, which also included the field of Varagras, and cloaked figures took turns yelling obscenities from a bridge under the...
So, those uses.
Oh, well done. Sure.
Well, that's for
Sounds
you.
mysterious.
Beethoven suggested that its 4 rules would be reduced to 2, one for motion into perfect consonances and another for imperfect consonances, for 10 points each, in this treatise and textbook by Johann Fuchs.
Okay, right.
Mostly presented as a dialogue between the student Josephus and the teacher Aloysius. In it, Fuchs discusses the 5 species of counterpoint as well as the proper method by which to compose for 4 voices.
Gratis and pronounced.
The character of Aloysius in Gratus is based on this Italian composer, early Pope Marcellus Manus.
Austrian.
One of the few ways in which Fuchs permits a composer to leap out of dissonance is this figure, in which a consonance moves stepwise to a dissonance and then leaps by a third in the same direction, usually to another consonance.
Escape tone? Is that what they want? An escape tone?
I have to prompt you on that.
Really?
That's what it tells me to do.
What? I don't know.
Okay, this is called the nota cambiata, or the change note, or the exchange note.
All right, I got some more specific form of escape tone.
It specifically says to prompt on escape.
All right, I trust it. Yeah.
Okay, at the half, I have a score of 60 to 215.
Okay, I five. 205. I can't do math. Let's just assume it's right. Okay.
1530 is 45.
No, yeah, I found my mistake.
Okay.
Okay, but
Good.
oh no, I didn't. Oh, whatever.
Well, we can walk through it.
So sorry, I have 45, 85,
Yeah.
130,
130.
1. That's where I just can't read my handwriting. Okay.
Minus 15.
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't my math.
The third person there.
Toss of 11. At one point in the speech, the speaker notes that girls are now termed sexually active, which has replaced the word promiscuous. This speech includes a joke about a politician confused as to why he's given a mansion in heaven, while a minister is given just a small room, but then learns from St. Peter that he's the first politician who ever made it. The Screwtape Letters is used in this speech to argue against wishful thinking. This speech asserts that we will never give away our freedoms, we will never abandon our belief in God, and we will never stop searching for a genuine peace. Tony Dolan had argued for the most memorable phrase of this speech to be used a year earlier in a speech to the Houses of Parliament, but it was instead used in this speech after warning the addressees not to ignore the facts of history and the aggressive impulses of the titled entity. Pinpoints named the speech given in 1983 to the National Association of Evangelicals by Ronald Reagan, in which he placed the good and moral United States in opposition to in opposition to a two-word term for the Soviet Union.
Oh, that's right, fuck.
Evil Empire.
That's right.
Yes.
I was thinking.
That was Jordan, right?
Yes.
Well, this for you. This philosopher was one of the few in Western Europe in his time to have knowledge of Greek for temporal teaching. This Irish philosopher who succeeded Alcuin of York as the head of the Palatine Academy and described his cosmology in the Periphysion.
Irish.
Duns Scotus.
When did he be spotted?
He's Irish.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, Erigen.
Duns Scotus Erigena.
Okay, no, it's John Scotus Eriugena, not Duns Scotus.
Sorry.
It's a different name.
Sorry.
You did?
Eriugena translated the work of this pseudonymous philosopher, claimed to be a biblical figure, and combined Neoplatonic ideas with those of Christian mysticism.
The Pseudo-Dionysus.
That's right. Eriugena was called to refute the monk Gottschalk's belief in a twofold form of this doctrine. He argued that this is false because of God's singular wisdom and because it contradicts human freedom of will.
Two wills.
Well, they said freedom of will already.
Okay. That's a good point.
You got
Decision?
predestination.
Ah, that makes sense.
Okay. 10 points on those. Toss of 12. This man won a civil war against his brother after an apparition of 5 horsemen in St. James the Greater caused that brother to flee, and that image remained in the national coat of arms until 1859. This man started a celebration in which the leaders of religious brotherhoods were crowned king, which inspired a later holiday called Pinkster. This man was originally the ruler of Nizungi province before coming to the throne. His father, Nzinga Nkulu, was baptized after meeting Diogo Pau, but returned to traditional beliefs after his burning of idols angered his people. His son, Henrique, was named
Alfonso?
Makes sense.
Here's your bonus. At the beginning of this epistolary novel, the title character is relieved by the death of her betrothed, the Reverend Haley, for 10 points each, being the sentimental novel that used Eliza Whitman as the basis for its main character, Eliza Wharton, who fails to marry the boring Reverend Boyer after being seduced by the rakish Peter Sanford.
What's that thing, like the crackhead or something?
I've never heard of this. You want to say that?
Okay.
Yeah. Like Eliza Whitman, Eliza Wharton dies because of this event, and the novel, this event causes the death of Charlotte Temple.
I want to say yellow fever. The yellow fever for that.
Childbirth. Eliza Whitman may have been impregnated and abandoned by this member of the Hartford Wits. This poet wrote the Columbiad, a terrible warm poem that failed to catch on as America's national epic, as well as a similarly awful The Hasty Pudding.
All
Yeah.
Why, were those all American?
I don't know what
This
the
shit
shade
is
is, what they're
American.
included.
What?
Because we were crappy
Is the
early.
coquette American?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Because we were crappy
bad.
early American.
Well, I just don't know American so bad.
I thought that could have been like Arthur Murray.
Toss-up. Practitioners of this method commonly use the metaphor of mental metabolism, in which people grow by biting off a piece of something, chewing it, and then determining if it's nourishing or toxic. Terrible idea. Irving and Miriam Polster founded a center in La Jolla devoted to training people in this method, whose namesake Prayer declares, "I do my thing and you do your thing." A common technique in this type of therapy involves the client imagining someone else sitting in an empty chair, speaking to it, then getting up, sitting on the chair, and reversing the roles. Paul Goodman helped found this type of therapy, which emphasizes a phenomenological approach to make clients aware of the here and now. Along with Albert Ellis and Carl Rogers, the men who developed this type of therapy can be seen on the Gloria tapes. It was developed in the 1940s and 50s by a German-born psychiatrist and his wife Laura, who named it after an earlier school of psychology. For 10 points, named this holistic type of therapy developed by Fritz Perls.
Yep.
Your bonus. This man was tutored in painting by Abdel Samad, who painted him meeting a Sufi dervish. For 10 points each, this ruler, who commissioned an illustrated manuscript of the Hamzanama, which took 14 years to complete. Basawan and Chatai painted him taming a savage elephant.
What Okay.
Akbar.
That's right. Akbar also commissioned an illustrated version of this work, meaning Tales of a Parrot, which was completed by Abdel Samad and Mir Said Ali.
Come on.
Bring it. called the Tutanama. Both Abd al-Samad and Musa Said came to the court of Shah Tahmasp I, who patronized many works involving this type of painting, which is often included in illuminated manuscripts, such as Shah Mahal.
This is the type of painting.
Painting of book. Illustrations.
Illustrations? Is that
I'll
what you
promise you.
Manuscripts.
No,
Book.
these are miniatures.
Oh.
This is where it's at.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
Yours, that's what they're called.
I was.
Woo! Task 14. In a poem by this author, the speaker believes that the heavenly love him, but wonders how much more they love you. That poem also claims that the heavenly always want offerings, and failing to give an offering has never resulted in anything good. In a novel by this author, the title character is distraught when his men commit a massacre after capturing the town of Nisistras, and that character originally joined the fighting because of the influence of his friend Alabanda. This author's time as a tutor for the son of Suzette Gontar led him to create the character of Diodama. This author used the Orlov Revolt as a setting for an epistolary novel in which the title character writes letters to his friend Bellarmine about his time in Greece. Someone's famous German writer who wrote the poem Patmos, as well as the Schicksalslied, or Song of Destiny.
Holderlin. Alright, I think there's gonna do them.
Yeah, that's right.
Set by promise.
Siberia.
Yeah. Damn it.
Here's your bonus. These transformations are defined as the identity matrix minus a vector u times its own transpose, and the determinant of them times another matrix is always equal to the determinant of the second matrix, for templates each. Name these transforms, which are actually reflections about a plane with normal vector u that contains the origin.
Projections.
These are called householder transformations. The householder transformation is the first step in the QR type of this matrix operation. Another type is named for Cholesky, while the most common type turns one matrix into the product of a lower triangle, upper triangle, and diagonal matrices, the LU form.
Decomposition.
QR decomposition is equivalent to performing a Gram-Schmidt operation on the matrix columns, which produces vectors that have this relation to each other, equivalent to the requirement that the dot product of two different vectors is 0, while the dot product of any vector with itself is 1.
Orthonormal.
So 15. This process is controlled by several proteins containing swap domains. A recursive form of this process occurs in molecules containing RS regions. In trypanosomes, one form of this process occurring for variable surface glycoproteins is silenced and stressed by the SLS response. The top hat algorithm is used to find products of this process in high throughput data. This process can be catalyzed by the IR1 protein during the unfolded protein response. ESE and ISE sequences are used to enhance this process. One component of the complex that performs this action binds to the polypyrimidine tract. BBP binds to the branch point while catalyzing
Slicing.
According to Hammond's postulate, these structures resemble whichever of the reactants or products that they are closer to in energy for templates each. Name these structures, which appear as peaks in reaction coordinate diagrams or saddle points on potential energy surfaces.
Transition states.
This method of finding transition states computationally takes a series of images between known start and end configurations and simultaneously minimizes their potential energy by considering a spring force perpendicular to the namesake construct and a true force parallel to it.
I don't even know what kind of thing I am.
Potential energy surface.
This is a thing called the nudged elastic band.
Never heard of it.
A problem with nudged elastic band methods is that they ignore this property of the atoms in the initial state relative to those in the final state. This property of atoms and gases leads to the resolution of the Gibbs paradox.
Yeah, interchangeability or indistinguishability. Indistinguishability, that's right. All right.
16. Mozart added a part for this instrument for the Vienna premiere of his Symphony No. 32, which was not present in the original Salzburg version. In the Allegretto second movement of Haydn's Military Symphony, the coda begins when the rest of the orchestra drops out to leave these instruments playing alone. It plays the first major solo in Copland's An Outdoor Overture above pizzicato string accompaniment, and its lower range was once called the Principale. Anton Weidinger refined and championed the version of this instrument.
Trumpet.
Yeah, John.
Where do I stand?
Your bonus. Communities of this indigenous group are led by silas, and this group retains some independence after the revolution in 1925. Name this indigenous group that speaks Dulagaya and lives on the San Blas Islands as part of a namesake province in northeastern Panama.
The Corn Islanders.
These are the Guna Indians. The Guna practice this form of descent, which both Lewis Henry Morgan and Friedrich Engels believed to be used by human clans that predated the family.
It's natural.
This trait occurs at especially high rate among the Guna. People with this trait are believed to be responsible for stopping dragons from eating the moon during an eclipse, and is mostly occurs due to mutations in tyrosinase.
So it's probably just albinos.
That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
yeah.
Albinos would be.
Albinos?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's what I was gonna guess. That's right.
Yeah.
Is in fact correct. Tussle. In one work, this thinker borrowed a term from C.S. Peirce and argued that all thought would be totally impossible in a universe in which abduction was not expectable, while claiming that human learning was a stochastic process. He detailed the relationship between Wow and Lawa in a certain New Guinea tribe, an analysis which would later incorporate ideas borrowed from cybernetics. And he claimed that knowledge belongs to a hierarchy of classes in this formulation of symmetrical and complementary schismogenesis. This pioneer of photographic analysis,
Bateson?
that's
I don't know why that came up like that. You like wrote a book about that.
Didn't well.
I think so.
These people's rulers were known as Shan Yu, and their namesake empire was founded by Modu for Dempsey. Named these nomadic Asian peoples, whose leader Lao Shan made a drinking cup out of the Yuezhi king's skull.
Say what's wrong, you.
Yeah.
Shang, after being defeated by Modu, the founder of the Han Dynasty, Liu Bang was forced to agree to marriage alliances as well as treaty payments. Liu Bang also had a contention with this other kingdom led by Shang Yu. Yeah. Joseph Guilliez argued that the Xiongnu were the ancestors of these people who first invaded Europe in the 4th century and were led by people like Arugula and Blega.
So. Say arugula?
Arugula.
Just arugula.
Arugula? I don't know. I don't speak common, so.
I got plenty of it.
They got their 3 points.
I'll be pillaged by the arugula.
Toss-up. An essay by this author explains why a certain location cannot be caught in a net of words, for it is one of its qualities to be indescribable, although not imperceptible. In that essay, this author described the sudden joyous turn of the happy endings provided by the title kind of literature as an example of eucatastrophe. He included that essay, which was first presented as an Andrew Lang lecture in 1939, in his book Tree and Leaf. Another of this author's essays features an allegory by a man who builds a tower from an accumulation of old stone, only for his friends to push it over to look for it.
Tolkien.
That's nice.
That's all right.
That originally was a specific Tolkien essay that was not a Beowulf essay. This man sowed dragon's teeth into the ground to create these sparkling templates. Each named this man who founded thieves when the Duffel Oracle told him to found a city where his cattle lie down.
Okay.
Cadmus was also known for bringing this discovery from Phoenician to Greece, which Argus claimed occurred in 2000 BC.
I think. Alphabet.
Yeah. According to the Suda, the 4 letters of the Greek alphabet were invented by this lyric poet and rival of Pindar. What do you got? Simonides of Cyprus.
What number is it?
There's 2 more times.
Yeah, we're going into 9.
Yeah.
The score is currently 375 to 130.
Yeah.
19. In the 16th century, cartographer Gabriele Simeoni found the location of this battle, and it was later excavated by Colonel Eugene Stoffel, after which the village of Merdon named itself after the battle. The commander on one side of this battle constructed a large and a small camp connected by a double ditch or duplex before charging the enemy's outer wall. The loser of the battle was forced to leave winter quarters and Agedincum to defend his allies, the Aedui. That man sent his lieutenant Titus Labienus to attack the Parisi before engaging in this battle. The location of this battle was a town located on a high and steep hill. And was,
Elysium.
no. And was the main oppidum of the most powerful tribe of the region, the Averni. The 10 points named this 52 BC battle in Gaul, where Vercingetorix handed Julius Caesar his only defeated field, which was followed by the Battle of Elysium. That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
First name is
Let's beat them beat that.
Okay.
Only get points by saying.
Nice, 15 point bonus.
Here's your bonus. The characteristic length of this effect is equal to 1 over the square root of 4 pi times the density of states times the charge of the electron squared in Gaussian units. Name this effect where electrons in a solid screen external electric fields. It is also a special case of Linhart theory.
This this
Magneto
AFX?
station, that thing?
No, this is called Thomas Fermi screening. Finding the equilibrium electron density due to Thomas Fermi screening in this special system is vastly complicated due to the Laplacian of 1 over s not yielding a delta function. This is the system where the fractional quantum Hall effect is observed.
Is it some hydrogen atom
Particle.
there, maybe?
What do you want to say?
Particle box.
No, it's the two-dimensional electron gas. A common physical example of a two-dimensional electron gas is this material, which was notably isolated using Scotch tape. When rolled up into cylinders, this material can be made into carbon nanotubes. Last talk. This city is home to a 154-foot tall Corinthian column that was used as a water tower until 1912. That building was one of the many designed for this city by George I. Barnett, who became known as the dean of the city's architecture. The architectural firm HOK was founded in this city, which is also home to a greenhouse called the Jewel Box. A sculpture by Alexander Lieberman consisting of 18 steel oil tanks painted red, The Way, can be found in this city's Lumiere Sculpture Park, or Lumiere Sculpture Park. Minoru Yamasaki designed the four-dome terminal for the city's airport, as well as a modernist housing complex in this city, consisting of 33 identical levels.
St. Louis.
Is the Bruligo project?
Your bonus. This poem was written in 1820, but suppressed for many years due to its patriotic nature. For 10 points each in its poem, which ends, "Hail dawn of liberty, O long live thou, thou carriest the redeeming sun so bright."
It's like Pantanish, maybe?
Sure, why
Is that
not?
the right time for that?
Bangladesh.
Ode to Youth was written by this member of the Philomathic Society, who also wrote of a man who rises to become Grand Master of the Teutonic Knights in the epic poem Conrad Wallenrode.
That's right,
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Good.
That's me, George. This Goodrich is best known for this poem concerning the national epic of Poland, which tells of a feud between two noble families.
Oh, we're at circles here. Bangladesh.
That is the game, 1-7 and 3-7.
Down my own way.
With what?
172.
Okay, yeah, and I did that, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, then I did a lot. Okay. Should be that and that. Okay. That makes
Alright, we need to resolve.
Yeah, so should we go do that now?
Yeah.
Or, okay, we'll go to outside 104. And then after that, we will be in,
116.
Okay, so we go to 104 to finish this off.
Yeah,
So
okay.
once and for all.
Hopefully, yeah.
Actually, wait, isn't there something like?
If it goes dead, then it's automatically a tie.
If it goes dead, it's a tie.
Okay, exciting.
Okay.
So buzzer fake the hell out of it.
I'm not good at that.
All right, don't buzzer fake the hell out of it.
I'll let you do the buzzer faking.
No, I'm not gonna try it either. I'll probably wind up buzzing.
That's probably not a good idea.
Probably
On some things.
not a good idea.
Have you ever been buzzer faked and then pulled the answer anyway?
No.
I feel.
The only thing I've done along those lines is tried to take the clock killing neg and then the answer occurred to me after I had buzzed. And said it.
I have a question.
All right, thanks.
Alright, see ya.
Magnus.
Don't worry, it is like,
You wanna be my videographer?